Imagine a country that has lived under the same system for more than 4 decades. A country where revolution once promised justice, dignity, and independence, but slowly hardened into control, surveillance, and fear. That country is Iran. And the question many are asking today, quietly in Tehran cafes, loudly in Western capitals, and nervously in Middle Eastern palaces, is this: is Iran heading toward a regime change? To answer that, we must stop thinking like commentators and start thinking like historians. The weight of 1979. Iran's current regime was born in 1979 through one of the most dramatic revolutions of the 20th century. The Shah fell, the streets erupted, and Ayatollah Khomeini returned from exile as a symbol of resistance against Western domination. At first, many Iranians believed this revolution would bring freedom, social justice, and moral governance. But revolutions age. Over time, power concentrated, institutions hardened, dissent became betrayal, and the Islamic Republic transformed from a revolutionary movement into a security state, built not just on ideology, but on fear of collapse. Every regime fears one thing more than foreign enemies: its own people. A young nation, trapped by an old system. Here is the first crack in the system. More than 60% of Iranians are under 35. They did not live through the Shah. They did not vote for the Islamic Republic. They did not choose clerical rule. Yet they live with its consequences. This generation is educated, connected, and restless. They use VPNs. They see the outside world. They compare lives. And they ask a dangerous question: why are we so rich in history, talent, and resources, yet so restricted? This gap between a young society and an old ruling ideology is not sustainable forever. The economy. The silent revolutionary. No regime collapses only because of protests. They collapse when the economy stops buying loyalty. Iran's economy is under immense pressure. Sanctions have crippled oil revenues. Inflation has eaten salaries. The currency has lost credibility. Youth unemployment remains dangerously high. The government still controls force. But force is expensive. Police must be paid. Militias must be fed. Loyalists must be rewarded. When money dries up, ideology weakens. History shows this again and again, from the Soviet Union to Arab Spring regimes. The protest pattern. Iran has not had one protest wave. It has had many. 2009 Green Movement, 2017-18 economic protests, 2019 fuel protests, 2022 protests after Mahsa Amini's death. Each time, the state survived. But here is the important detail most people miss. Each protest is larger, angrier, and less afraid than the last. Fear is the true currency of authoritarian regimes, and fear, once cracked, never fully returns. Why the regime still survives. So why hasn't the system fallen yet? Because the Iranian regime is not naive. It has a deeply entrenched security apparatus. The IRGC, which is not just a military force, but an economic empire, control over courts, media, and elections. Experience in crushing dissent efficiently. Unlike fragile dictatorships, Iran's regime learned from others' mistakes. It does not hesitate early. It does not split power loosely. And it does not trust crowds. This is why sudden collapse is unlikely. External pressure. Help or harm? Many assume the West can engineer regime change. History says otherwise. Foreign pressure often strengthens hardliners by allowing them to say, "See, we are under attack." Sanctions hurt the people first. Bombs unite the population temporarily. Intervention delegitimizes internal opposition. Iran's regime will most likely fall, if it falls at all, from inside, not outside. The real trigger: elite fracture. Here is the most important part of the story. Regime change does not begin on the streets. It begins inside elite circles. The day clerics, generals, business elites, and bureaucrats start asking, is this system protecting us or endangering us? That is when things move fast. So far, Iran's elite remains mostly united, bound by shared risk. But history shows, when elites believe survival is better after change than before it, the system collapses suddenly. The succession question, Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, is aging. Succession in authoritarian systems is always dangerous. Transitions expose power struggles, institutional weakness, hidden rivalries. A smooth transition could stabilize the regime. A contested one could open the floodgates. This is perhaps the most critical unknown in Iran's future. So, is regime change coming? The honest answer is this: not tomorrow, not by invasion, not by one protest, but also not never. Iran looks less like a ticking bomb and more like a pressure cooker. The lid hasn't blown off, but the heat keeps rising. When it happens, if it happens, it will likely be triggered by economic shock, accelerated by elite division, fueled by youth mobilization, and justified by exhaustion, not ideology, the final thought. History rarely announces its turning points. One day, everything looks stable. The next, the old order feels inevitable, but already dead. Iran today stands in that uncomfortable space between control and consent. The regime is strong, but not loved. The people are angry, but not unified. The world is watching, but cannot decide. Regime change in Iran is not a question of desire. It is a question of timing, fracture, and exhaustion. And history tells us one thing with certainty: no system that survives purely on fear survives forever. If you liked the video, please like, subscribe, and comment your views on the topic. It will help me to get a better response from the YouTube algorithm. Thank you.